Christine once recalled that her daughter Truely seemed listless, so weak that when she tried to cross her eyes, they simply stayed there. "I'm her mom," she said. "I know when something is wrong. This wasn't just the flu. Something was terribly, terribly wrong." On screen, Cody downplayed it. Kids get sick. It's what they do. In a big family, someone always has a sniffle or a bug. I figured Christine had it under control. She's a good mom. The family publicly described Truely's 2014 hospitalization as a tragic accident, a flu that unexpectedly escalated into a life-threatening situation. For years, this version of events was accepted by fans as one of the most frightening but ultimately redemptive moments in the Brown family's history. But what if it wasn't an accident? What if the narrative was a carefully constructed cover-up concealing something darker? This deep dive reopens the case, presenting a chilling hypothetical lawsuit against Cody and Robyn Brown. The charge: gross medical negligence and conspiracy to commit reckless endangerment. The claim that Truely's near death was not a tragic twist of fate, but the predictable outcome of deliberate neglect, driven by Cody's obsession with control. The story begins in 2014, shortly after the Browns moved to Las Vegas. The family's once unified household was split across 4 separate homes, with Cody rotating between wives and children. Communication was strained and tensions were already high. Amid this fractured environment, 3-year-old Truely fell ill. What began as fever and lethargy was presented on television as a sudden, terrifying plunge into acute kidney failure. The show depicted Christine as concerned but caught off guard, Cody as a busy father who eventually rushed to his daughter's side, and the family as united in crisis. Yet many viewers sensed something off: Cody's dismissiveness, Christine's isolation, and a strangely delayed sense of urgency. The lawsuit's theory rests on motive. Every crime has one, and in this case it was control. The seeds of conflict had been planted earlier, during Cody and Robyn's infamous 11-day honeymoon, far longer and more extravagant than the brief trips he shared with his other wives. Christine openly voiced her anger, calling it unfair, and Cody, according to insiders, saw her protest not as hurt feelings but as rebellion. Robyn allegedly reinforced this view, painting Christine as jealous. Meanwhile, Christine was slowly gaining independence, enjoying her own space for the first time in Las Vegas, even voicing desires to return to work. To Cody, whose identity hinged on patriarchal authority, her growing autonomy was intolerable. According to the lawsuit's framing, when Truely fell ill, Cody saw opportunity. Rather than a tragedy, it became a power play. Christine's maternal instincts told her something was very wrong. She reportedly pleaded with Cody to let her take Truely to the doctor, but he brushed her off. "It's just the flu. Don't overreact." By dismissing her, he established dominance. Then, allegedly, when their pediatrician's office sent an urgent advisory warning about severe flu complications in children, Cody, listed as the primary contact, received the alert and concealed it. Sharing it would have validated Christine's concerns and allowed her to act, cutting short his control. In the days that followed, Truely's condition deteriorated dramatically. Christine called Cody 17 times over a 48-hour period, desperate for help. He never answered. Phone records allegedly revealed that during that same window, Cody and Robyn exchanged 128 text messages. The claim is damning. He wasn't unreachable, he was ignoring her. Christine was left with a devastating choice: obey her husband and risk her child's life, or defy him. At last, maternal instinct overcame fear. She stopped asking for permission, put her nearly unresponsive daughter into the car, and sped to the emergency room. At the hospital, staff recognized the gravity instantly. Truely was in acute kidney failure, her body poisoned by severe dehydration. Doctors scrambled to stabilize her, preparing for dialysis if necessary. Cody arrived later, playing the part of shocked father, but according to this theory, he wasn't blindsided by the illness, only by the fact that Christine had defied him and nearly exposed his cruelty. Truely spent 11 days hospitalized, while the family and the show spun a narrative of miraculous recovery. Years later, in this hypothetical courtroom drama, Christine brings the lawsuit on behalf of her daughter. Expert testimony dismantles Cody's defense. A pediatric nephrologist testifies that Truely's lab results prove she had been severely dehydrated for at least 72 hours. Her symptoms, lethargy, crossed eyes, dry mouth, lack of tears, tented skin, were glaringly obvious. In the doctor's words, this was not a sudden turn, but a prolonged, preventable decline. Had she been taken to the hospital even a day earlier, she would likely have been treated with IV fluids and sent home. Christine testifies with heartbreaking clarity. She describes the silence of unanswered calls, the terror of watching her daughter fade, and the moment she realized obedience to her husband could kill her child. She recounts the drive to the hospital, truly limp as a rag doll in the car seat, and her desperate plea to nurses, "My daughter is dying. Please help me." The defense portrays Cody as overwhelmed, not malicious. But phone records, ignored warnings, and expert medical testimony paint a different picture. Not a mistake, but a choice. The prosecution frames it as a calculated campaign of psychological abuse, with Robyn complicit in reinforcing Cody's authority. The jury finds Cody and Robyn liable on all counts. The judge, visibly disgusted, declares their neglect monstrous and strips Cody of his parental rights to TRUELY. A $5 million trust is awarded for her future care. Managed solely by Christine, Christine emerges vindicated. Her instincts, once dismissed as overreaction, are proven to have saved her daughter's life. Cody is exposed not just as an unfit husband, but as a dangerously negligent father. Robyn's loyalty to him is revealed as complicity. The case is fictionalized, but the warning is chilling. Sometimes the greatest danger doesn't lurk in shadows. It sits in plain sight, cloaked in faith, family, and television smiles. The verdict echoed like a thunderclap through the Brown family. For years, fans of Sister Wives had clung to the image of Cody as a flawed but loving father, strict, sometimes arrogant, but never intentionally cruel. The courtroom destroyed that illusion. His parental rights stripped, his reputation shattered. Cody was suddenly exposed not as the misunderstood patriarch he claimed to be, but as a man whose obsession with control nearly cost his daughter her life. Christine, though vindicated, found little comfort. Her testimony had forced her to relive the darkest hours of her life. "Every day I wonder," she admitted to reporters outside the courthouse, "if TRUELY had died, would anyone have believed me? Or would the world still think I was just a bitter wife making up stories?" Her words struck a nerve with viewers. Mothers who knew what it felt like to be dismissed, partners who had endured gaslighting, children who had suffered while adults looked away. The ripple effects were immediate. TLC, once eager to profit from the Brown family's drama, scrambled to distance itself. Old episodes featuring TRUELY's hospitalization were dissected frame by frame, not as touching family moments, but as evidence of negligence hiding in plain sight. Fans revisited Cody's cold body language, his casual dismissal of Christine's worries, his absence during critical hours. What once seemed like awkward editing now looked like foreshadowing of a cover-up. Janelle, once loyal to Cody, could not contain her fury. "We trusted him," she told a friend who later testified to the press. "We trusted him with our children, and he gambled with their lives." Her sons, particularly Garrison and Gabriel, reportedly cut contact with their father permanently, their anger boiling over into public statements online. "He's not a dad," one post read. "He's a dictator who got caught." Robyn, however, stood by Cody. In her testimony, she insisted, "We were just overwhelmed. No one wanted TRUELY to suffer." But the jury saw through it. Her endless text messages with Cody during the hours Christine begged for help painted her not as a peacemaker, but as his enabler. The court's language was brutal. Her silence and complicity enabled continued neglect. For fans who once pitied her as the outsider wife, the trial reframed Robyn as an accomplice. Legally, the case was over. But socially, it was only beginning. Cody and Robyn became pariahs in the polygamous community. Where once they were held up as examples of modern plural marriage, they were now whispered about as cautionary tales. Church leaders quietly distanced themselves, and former friends refused to be filmed with them. Their house in Flagstaff became a fortress, blinds drawn, neighbors reporting tense shouting matches at night. Christine, by contrast, found her voice. Her strength in court turned her into a symbol of maternal instinct, of survival, of defiance against patriarchal control. Book offers, speaking tours, and interviews followed, but she kept her focus on TRUELY. "My daughter is alive because I stopped listening to Cody," she told one interviewer. "And if telling my story helps another mother stop listening to someone who's trying to control her, then it's worth it." The documentary-style coverage of the trial became one of the most streamed specials of the year. But beneath the ratings and headlines was a haunting truth. This was not just a story about one family. It was about the silent epidemic of medical neglect hidden behind the closed doors of authoritarian households, where obedience is valued more than safety, and where children can pay the ultimate price for their parents' pride. In the final scene of the series, the camera lingered on Christine walking hand in hand with Truely outside the courthouse. The little girl, now older, smiled faintly, unaware of how close she had come to being just another tragedy swept under the rug. Christine's voiceover carried the last words. They thought they could silence me. They thought control mattered more than life. But Truely is here. She is here, and that means I won. Weeks after the ruling, a whistleblower from inside the Brown family's old Las Vegas pediatric office came forward. The anonymous source provided sealed records that had never been presented in court. Among them was a copy of the flu advisory email Christine swore she never saw. The metadata confirmed it. The alert had been sent directly to Cody's inbox. Worse, a digital receipt showed he had opened it. This was the smoking gun. He hadn't simply ignored Christine's instincts. He had knowingly concealed medical warnings that could have saved his daughter's life. But that wasn't the only revelation. A former TLC producer broke her silence, admitting that footage from the 2014 season had been deliberately cut. In raw, unaired film, Christine can be seen sobbing to a crew member. She hasn't had tears in days. Something is wrong. I keep telling Cody, but he won't listen. The producer claimed network executives ordered the footage shelved, fearing it would make Cody look monstrous and break the family brand. And then came the most explosive twist: testimony from one of the Brown children, now an adult. Though their identity was concealed for protection, their words cracked the carefully built facade of the family narrative. Dad said if Mom took Truely to the ER without his say-so, she'd be betraying the family. He told us that if we ever went behind his back, we'd destroy everything. I was a kid, but even then I knew. It wasn't about Truely's health. It was about control. The court of public opinion ignited. Hashtags like "Shushed Justice for Truely" and "Shushed Cody Cover-Up" trended across social media. Clips of Cody dismissing Christine during early seasons resurfaced, now reframed as evidence of a long pattern of psychological dominance. Fans who once debated whether he was just strict or misunderstood found themselves confronting the reality. This wasn't stern fatherhood. This was abuse hidden in plain sight. Robyn, too, faced a reckoning. Investigators uncovered her text exchanges with Cody during the critical 48-hour window when Christine was calling nonstop. In one, Cody wrote, "She's panicking again. If I give in now, she'll think she runs the house." Robyn replied, "Stay strong. She needs to learn." The chilling message was read aloud during a post-trial hearing, leaving the gallery in stunned silence. What had been dismissed as passivity was now revealed as active participation. With mounting evidence, Christine's legal team pushed for criminal charges: negligent endangerment, conspiracy, and child abuse. Prosecutors, emboldened by the whistleblowers and unearthed records, opened a new investigation. Cody and Robyn, once reality TV royalty, now faced the possibility of prison. Meanwhile, the children bore the scars. Some, like Janelle's boys, cut ties completely. Others wrestled with loyalty, caught between love for their father and the horror of what he had done. "It's like the show was our mask," one daughter confided to a journalist. "We smiled for cameras while inside we were drowning." For Christine, every new revelation was both vindication and agony. Yes, the world now believed her. But each uncovered email, each suppressed clip, was a reminder of just how close she had come to burying her child because of Cody's pride. By the time Part 3 of the documentary aired, the Brown family empire was in ruins. TLC pulled sister wives from all platforms. Sponsorships vanished. Cody and Robyn retreated into silence, rarely seen in public except arriving at court. Christine, though haunted, found strength in her survival story, standing taller each time she spoke. The series closed with a chilling narration. Families don't just break in the spotlight. Sometimes they shatter in silence. While the cameras roll, the contracts are signed, and the children suffer. In the end, the Brown family's tragedy wasn't just a story of one little girl's near death. It was a story of control, denial, and the terrible cost of obedience.